Good morning, everybody. How are you all? I'm doing well. I'm Nupur. Welcome everybody to my YouTube channel, Nature at the Very Core of Science. Today, I have come with a piece of United States history, and it is during the Great Depression. We already talked about Great Depression. Now, today, we are going to discuss about the bank failures during the Great Depression. It is so fascinating, and I felt that I can but share this with my audience. The Great Depression, beginning with the stock market crash in October 1929 and lasting throughout the 1930s, was the most severe economic downturn in the history of the industrialized world. Among its many devastating effects were the widespread failures of banks across the United States. We are just going to see now what happened at that time. What is the prelude to these bank failures? The prosperity of the 1920s led to overconfidence in the financial sector. Many banks made risky loans and investments, especially in the stock market. When the stock market crashed in 1929, it initiated a chain reaction, dominoes effect. As people panicked and withdrew their savings, banks found themselves overextended and unable to meet the demand for cash, leading to the first wave of bank failures. So now a question arises, what could be the causes of bank failures? So there are 3 or 4 major criteria, but one is over-speculation. Banks had invested heavily in the stock market or loaned money to stock speculators. When the market collapsed, so did the value of these investments. Second could be run on banks. Fearful depositors, they rushed to withdraw their savings, leading to liquidity crisis. Banks which work on the principle of fractional reserve banking did not have enough cash on hand to return depositor their funds. Then third could be agricultural depression. Even before the stock market crash, the agricultural sector was suffering due to overproduction and falling prices. Rural banks in particular were affected as farmers defaulted on loans. And the fourth reason is very important, that lack of federal insurance. At that time, there was no federal insurance for bank deposits, which we see nowadays we call FDIC. So when the banks fell, people lost their savings, which further exacerbated the crisis. Now, we are very much interested, I'm sure that we all want to know what was the impact of the bank failures. Now, the failure of over 9,000 banks during the Great Depression had a catastrophic effect on the American economy. Millions of people lost their life savings, contributing to a significant decline in consumer spending. The reduction in spending then led to a decrease in production, and then that resulting in massive unemployment. The banking crisis also severely contracted the money supply, deepening the economic downturn. Now, what was the government's response? The government took several steps to address the banking crisis. The first was the bank holiday. In March 1933, that time President Franklin D. Roosevelt closed all banks for several days. This bank holiday allowed the government to inspect the health of all the banks. Then came Emergency Banking Act. That was passed during the bank holiday, and this act allowed the reopening of solvent banks under Treasury Department supervision. And then last but not was Glass-Steagall Act. This is 1933 legislation which established the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which I just mentioned a few minutes back, FDIC in short, providing federal insurance for depositor funds and effectively ending the epidemic of bank runs. And lastly, there was a Banking Act of 1935, which further reforms were made to stabilize the banking system, including the creation of the Federal Open Market Committee, or FOMC. So in conclusion, we can tell that the bank failures during the Great Depression were a pivotal moment in US financial history, leading to significant reforms that reshaped the banking industry. And this failure if we can understand, then it gives us the insight into the importance of financial regulation and the role of government in stabilizing the economy. I hope you like this. Please comment. I will be enthralled to interact with you via your comments.